Hey guys, me again. Seems I'm making a lot of videos today. Okay, so I think I left people with more questions than answers in the last video. Now I've got testers asking me things okay, I'm going to try and explain this in the simplest of terms without going into too much detail because I'm not quite ready to post a lot of detail yet. So the focus of the 10 series is for me to control the flow of packets. Okay, sorry, packages. It does not mean that I will not use Ubuntu repos, I will not use packages from Debian repos, I will not use packages from third-party repos. I will use packages from everywhere I can find packages. Anything that makes my life easier, where I don't have to compile a already working package, I'll use that package. There's no two ways about it. The Makulu repos is going to be full of Ubuntu packages, full of Debian packages, full of packages from third-party software. It's going to have packages from everywhere. If a package from Ubuntu or Debian or a third-party software does not work on Makulu, I will then compile that package from source myself, make modifications, compile it, make sure it works. So the end user, his system will be working one way or the other. I will ensure that the system works because the package will be compatible. Whether I compile it, whether it's from Ubuntu or Debian or third-party software maintainer or whatever the case might be, his system will work. The main focus that the new system allows me to do is control the flow of packages. Okay, and it lets me do it in a number of ways. Number one, I can take snapshots of repos and just put into my repo. I can pull certain packages off, put into my repo. I can also control, not just control the packages that go into the repos, but I can control the actual repo system from remotely, understand, without interfering with the user's desktop. For example, let's say I have a repo that's got a 2-year lifetime, right? And at the end of the 2-year lifetime, the distro is still healthy, it's still going strong, it's still, very vibrant, and there's no real reason for me to make a new release. And I decide, okay, I need to kill off this repo. The repo is at the end of its life cycle, but I do not want this distro to end. I like the distro, it's still going strong, people love it, it's popular, blah 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 blah. Okay, but there's a bunch of distros on this whole series that's using this repo, and I need to kill off 3 of the distros. The 4th one I need to keep alive, right? So what do? Close the repo, end of life. The other 3 stop getting updates and everything's fine. On the 4th distro, I decide I want to extend this another 2 years or another year or another 6 months or whatever the case might be. So I build a different repo, especially for that distro, right? What I do is I can then remotely change the user onto the new repo, right? Instantly. I can, without doing any updates or anything on his side, I can just switch every single user on that distro. I can just switch them from the one main repo onto the next main repo. He wouldn't even notice his side that anything's changed. He would simply just keep getting updates the way he gets it. See, so the new system really has a lot of fail-safes in place to prevent any kind of downtime. And I'm not talking about the mirror list. The mirror list, it just prevents downtime. It just lets you choose from a whole bunch of mirrors, the closest one to you with the fastest speed, and if one goes down, it just jumps to the next one. But the mirror list is isolated to one URL, one repo type, blah blah blah. All that is predefined in the distro. Once it's set, it can't really be changed, or not easily changed anyway. I'm talking about the fact that I can swap a user from one main repo to a completely different repo, and it wouldn't even need the same layout or anything like that. On the one repo you can have a main, a testing branch, and on the next one you could have a universe branch or a restricted branch or whatever the case might be. I can simply just move a user to a completely new repo without interfering with his desktop, without him having to suffer any downtime or anything like that. So the new system I'm building is not just a simply I'm breaking away from Ubuntu and Debian and going onto my own repos, because I think that's the idea that everybody got from the other video. There's a lot more back-end stuff involved here. I'm putting fail-safe systems into place. I'm actually putting a system into place where I can literally control not just the flow of packages, but I have full control over the repos. I can change repos, I can bring new repos online, I can backport stuff to the user easily. You know, he wouldn't even need to tick a box. I mean, if there's something that needs to be backported to every single user using that distro, I could do it automatically on my side without him having to tick anything, without him having to do anything. I could simply just backport packages without having to put the actual packages into the repo. I can just put another repo online and just automatically just add it to his system, and he would then. And I know what you guys will now be thinking, yeah, is that safe? You know, how does that protect the end user, blah blah blah, from me just switching random repos? Don't worry about that. That's, I wouldn't harm a person's desktop. I mean, there are other systems in place to prevent even that kind of catastrophe from happening. It's a very complex system. It's all back end though, and most of it actually remotely done. So you don't have to worry about the finer details of all of that stuff. All I'm saying is I've had to make some major changes to be able to put the system into place, and that is literally the delay, and that is literally why I've had to make such big changes. In a nutshell, I'm not just moving on to my own repos. I'm thinking ahead long term as well. I need to change the way that the repos update on the standard system, but keep them the same at the same time, because you can't change the format on the end user side, because the desktop will have issues reading this and reading the layout, and any third party tool will suddenly stop working because you've gone and edited the system. So all the changes would have to be back end, and it's very tricky, you know, to manipulate something to work the same but work differently at the same time. It's very complex stuff, but just know that long term it's completely new style, you know. So no more of I'm typically respinning something else. I'm not. In fact, once this goes live, other people might like start actually respinning my things because of a more efficient system. Okay, that's one thing there. And also another thing is there's a lot of other stuff going into the 10 series. You can expect to have that feeling again the first time you ran Makulu, and you're like, wow, this is something new, and wow, that's something new. You're going to be seeing quite a bit of that in 10 series as well. So be prepared for a couple of other changes as well. The main focus for me is independence, and it's also to have complete control over that in independence that I'm, you know, implementing into the distro. So yeah. Also next year is going to be a massive year for Makulu, because I actually have a lot of other stuff that I want to start putting into place next year. I'm kind of working out my timeline. I have to, everything has its time and place. You know, you can't do everything at once, and you can't do everything too quickly or too suddenly. Everything is a process, you know. At this point in time, I'm always learning, and it's good to always learn, because the moment you stop learning, you get bored and you kind of become boring, you know, because once you start getting bored, you do not give it your 100% anymore, and once you stop giving it your 100%, you become boring. You become the next same version, 10 versions in a row. You know, if you look at a lot of the, and I'm not going to name too many names now, but most of the distros that get released now, there's hardly any changes. Yeah, little panel changes and a little bit of this changes, but you don't kind of see the same passion that you saw in the project 5 years ago, when major changes, and you know, you were getting excited over a new build to the point where you couldn't sleep for the last 3 days before release day, you know. And I'm trying to always keep things interesting, keep making major changes, keep spicing things up, to keep that spark alive you know. And anyway, next year is going to be so busy for Makulu because big stuff that I have planned. The fruits probably won't be, it probably won't bear fruit next year. Yeah, it will probably be I'd say another 2 years once that project bears fruit. But I have things that I will be doing my side, and you know, other people will be doing their side, but it will get the ball rolling on something completely different again, and there will be sneak previews, and there will be movies and things to keep users all, you know, drooling over whatever's coming. But anyway, for now, the 10 series is the first big major milestone in probably more than a year of big changes in Makulu. And so yeah, just expect, I don't want to make the hype too big, because you make the hype too big and then everybody's disappointed. So no hype. You know, just some good changes that's needed on the project. Let's just put it that way. That's basically what the 10 series is about. So yeah, guys, don't blow everything out of proportion, and also don't assume that I'm just moving to a new repo. That's not just that. There's a lot of other shit involved. Sorry for the cursing, but yeah. So I think hopefully that will answer more give more answers to your questions, although you probably have 1,000 more questions now. But yeah, cheers.